The unexpected encounter. The void of space stretched endlessly, a canvas of infinite darkness punctuated by distant starlight. Kai Reyes adjusted the navigation controls of the quantum drift, his modified salvage vessel, with the practiced ease of a veteran space explorer. At 35, he'd spent more years drifting between asteroid fields and derelict spacecraft than he cared to remember. Proximity alarms jolted him from his routine scan. Something was out there, something that didn't match any standard debris signature. Kai leaned forward, fingers dancing across holographic displays. The readings were strange, fragments of an unidentified vessel, scattered across a remote sector of the Centauri rim. "Computer, enhance visual," he muttered, his weathered flight suit creasing as he shifted in the pilot's seat. The main view screen flickered, revealing a trail of destruction that told a violent story. Shattered hull fragments. Plasma residue. The unmistakable signature of a catastrophic systems failure. Most salvage operators would have logged the coordinates and moved on. Rescue missions were risky, and in the vast emptiness of space, survival chances were slim. But Kai had never been one to follow the standard playbook. Something about the scattered debris suggested this wasn't a simple accident. He maneuvered the quantum drift closer, the ship's advanced sensors probing the destruction. Most of the vessel was beyond repair, a twisted metal graveyard spinning in the cosmic void. But a sealed compartment caught his attention. It was intact, somehow preserved amid the surrounding chaos. "Thermal scan," Kai commanded. The ship's AI responded instantly, displaying a heat signature that made his breath catch. Something was alive in there. The rescue pod would be tricky to retrieve. Magnetic grapples extended from the quantum drift's underbelly, carefully positioning themselves around the compartment. Kai's hands moved with a surgeon's precision, years of salvage operations having honed his skills to near perfection. A sharp hiss announced the pressurization of the rescue pod as it was brought into the ship's secondary airlock. Kai approached cautiously, emergency medical kit in hand. The pod's exterior was scorched, bearing the marks of an intense battle or escape. As the airlock cycled, Kai prepared for anything: damaged equipment, potential hazards, or worse. What emerged was beyond his wildest expectations. The occupant was clearly not human. Silvery blue skin shimmered beneath a torn protective suit, intricate biomechanical implants visible along the being's arms and neck. Delicate, almost translucent features suggested a species of remarkable evolution. Female, if Kai's understanding of xenobiology meant anything. She was alive, but barely. Multiple injuries suggested she'd survived something far more dangerous than a simple spacecraft malfunction. Her breathing was shallow, each exhale a ragged whisper of survival. "Hey," Kai spoke softly, activating the medical scanner. "You're safe now. Whatever happened out there, you're on the quantum drift." The alien's eyes flickered open, large, iridescent, filled with an intelligence that seemed to pierce right through him. For a moment, they locked gazes. In that instant, Kai knew this was no ordinary rescue. Her hand moved, almost imperceptibly. A small device, no larger than a data chip, fell from her sleeve, clattering onto the metallic floor. Before Kai could react, she slipped back into unconsciousness. The medical AI began its diagnostic sequence. Critical injuries. Multiple system shock. Unknown physiological responses. Kai picked up the fallen device, turning it over in his hand. It was unlike any technology he'd encountered in his years of space salvage. Little did Kai know, the simple act of rescue would thrust him into a conflict that spanned entire star systems. The device in his hand was about to change everything he understood about the universe, and his place in it. The quantum drift continued its silent journey through the cosmic expanse, carrying its mysterious passenger in the first threads of an adventure that would challenge the very boundaries of known existence. Secrets and pursuits. Hours passed, and the alien remained in a deep healing trance. Kai studied the small device she'd dropped, running it through every diagnostic scan the quantum drift systems could manage. Nothing made sense. Its molecular structure defied known technological principles, shifting subtly under different scanning frequencies. The ship's medical bay hummed with soft regenerative frequencies, monitoring the alien's critical condition. Advanced healing patches covered her most severe wounds, their bioluminescent edges pulsing with adaptive treatment protocols. Kai's communication console suddenly erupted with a cascade of encrypted signals. Something was tracking the ship, multiple sources, each using sophisticated jamming techniques that would make most navigation systems blind. But the quantum drift was no ordinary vessel. Source trace, Kai commanded, fingers flying across the holographic interface. The ship's AI responded with a series of rapid-fire visualizations. 3 distinct signal origins, one from the Orion Quadrant, another from the outer rim of the Andromeda Cluster, and a third from an uncharted region that shouldn't even exist on standard star charts. The alien stirred, her movements subtle but deliberate. Her eyes opened, this time with a clarity that suggested she was fully aware of her surroundings. "Who are you?" Kai asked, keeping his distance but maintaining a direct line of sight. She spoke, her voice a melodic blend of harmonics that seemed to resonate beyond simple sound. "Aria Vex. Navigator of the Helixian Concordat." A pause. "And you are now in significant danger." Kai raised an eyebrow. Most rescues don't come with immediate threats. Aria's hand moved to the device Kai had been examining. "That is not a device," she corrected. "It's a quantum entanglement marker. My people's most guarded technology." The ship's warning systems blared. Multiple fast-moving objects had just dropped out of quantum translation, approaching at speeds that defied conventional propulsion. "They found me," Aria said, her tone a mix of resignation and determination. Kai's combat training kicked in. He'd spent years in the Frontier Defense Corps before becoming a salvage operator. Whatever was coming, he wasn't going down without a fight. "Who's coming?" he demanded. "The Null Collective," she responded. "A faction that seeks to control the quantum pathways between dimensions. The marker I carried contains information that could destabilize their entire operational network." The first of the pursuing vessels came into visual range. It wasn't like any ship Kai had seen before, more like a living construct of intersecting energy fields and molecular matrices. No traditional weapons, but something far more dangerous. "We have approximately 17 standard minutes before they breach our quantum shielding," Aria stated matter-of-factly. Kai laughed, a sharp, sardonic sound. 17 minutes. That's plenty of time. He began preparing the quantum drift's most aggressive defensive protocols. Modified plasma disruptors. Quantum fold generators. Adaptive camouflage systems that could bend light and space around the ship. Aria watched him, a hint of surprise crossing her alien features. "You're not asking questions. Most humans would demand explanations." "Explanations come after survival," Kai responded, adjusting a series of complex energy conduits. "And right now, survival looks like outmaneuvering whatever's hunting you." The pursuing vessels began to spread out, creating a quantum interference pattern designed to collapse the quantum drift's protective shields. Each movement was calculated, precise, the work of an intelligence that viewed spacetime as a malleable construct. "They won't stop," Aria warned. "Not until the marker is recovered or destroyed." Kai caught her gaze. "Then we'll make sure neither of those things happen." The first quantum pulse hit the quantum drift shields. The entire ship vibrated with the impact, a resonance that seemed to challenge the very fabric of existence. The chase had begun. Unlikely alliance. The quantum interference rippled through the quantum drift's hull, creating a symphonic dissonance that threatened to tear the ship apart. Kai's hands moved with practiced precision, routing emergency power through experimental stabilization circuits he'd acquired during his years in the Frontier Defense Corps. "Quantum fold in 3, 2, 1, he muttered, triggering a spatial displacement maneuver that would have been impossible with standard technology. Arya Vex watched, her alien eyes tracking every movement. "Impressive," she said, a note of genuine admiration in her voice. Most species would have been scattered across multiple dimensional planes by now. Kai didn't respond immediately. The pursuit had become a complex dance of technological warfare, with the Null Collective's ships performing impossible maneuvers that defied conventional physics. "Talk," Kai demanded, redirecting auxiliary power to the ship's defensive systems. "What exactly did you do to make an entire dimensional network hunt you down?" Arya's fingers traced a complex pattern on the ship's holographic interface, revealing a three-dimensional map of quantum pathways. The marker contains a comprehensive map of quantum tunnels, pathways that connect different dimensional planes. In the wrong hands, it could allow instantaneous travel or complete dimensional collapse. The ship shuddered. One of the pursuing vessels had managed to partially penetrate their quantum shields, sending tendrils of alien energy probing through the hull's molecular structure. "I'm a navigator," Arya continued, her voice maintaining an eerily calm tone. "My role was to map these pathways, to understand the intricate connections between different planes of existence. The Null Collective wants to weaponize this knowledge." Kai's eyes narrowed. "And you stole the data to prevent that?" It wasn't a question. A slight smile crossed Arya's alien features. "Not just prevented. Exposed." The ship's AI interrupted, its synthesized voice cutting through their conversation. "Quantum breach imminent. Structural integrity at 62%. Kai moved to a rarely used control panel, flipping a series of switches that would have voided any standard spaceship's warranty. "I have one trick left," he said. "But it's going to be close." The Quantum Drift's experimental quantum fold drive began to hum, a sound that was more felt than heard, a vibration that seemed to exist between reality and possibility. "What are you doing?" Arya asked, a hint of concern breaking through her typically composed demeanor. "Something stupid," Kai responded. The pursuing vessels began to converge, their quantum matrices aligning in a pattern that suggested total annihilation was moments away. But Kai had learned long ago that survival often depended on doing the unexpected. The quantum fold drive reached critical resonance. For a moment, the entire ship seemed to exist in multiple places simultaneously, a quantum superposition that defied conventional understanding. Then, with a sound that was part explosion and part whisper, the quantum drift vanished. When reality reassembled itself, they were in an entirely different sector of space. Damaged. Vulnerable. But alive. Arya looked at Kai, genuine respect now evident in her expression. "You're not just a salvage operator, are you?" Kai collapsed into the pilot's chair, sweat beading on his forehead. "Let's just say the Frontier Defense Corps doesn't teach everything in their official training programs." The ship's damage indicators told a grim story. They'd survived, but barely. Multiple systems were offline. Life support was running at minimal capacity. And somewhere out there, the Null Collective was regrouping. "We need a plan," Arya said, her fingers already dancing across the ship's diagnostic interfaces. Kai laughed, a sharp, exhausted sound. "I thought we just had one." "That was survival," she corrected. "Now we need strategy." Outside the ship's viewport, distant stars flickered, silent witnesses to their narrow escape. But both Kai and Arya knew this was far from over. The quantum marker remained. The Null Collective would not stop hunting them. And their unlikely alliance was about to be tested in ways neither could imagine. Betrayal and revelation. The makeshift repair station orbited a dead planet, its network of interconnected habitats a haven for those who preferred to exist outside conventional galactic jurisdictions. Kai had contacts everywhere, a network built from years of salvage operations and carefully maintained relationships. Dr. Loren Varick, an old friend and the most brilliant quantum engineer Kai knew, studied the quantum marker with an intensity that made Arya visibly uncomfortable. This technology, Loren muttered, it's beyond anything I've ever seen. The quantum entanglement patterns are recursive, they're not just storing information, they're actively reshaping it. Arya remained silent, her alien eyes tracking every movement of Loren's diagnostic tools. Something about the engineer made her uneasy, a feeling she couldn't quite quantify. Kai noticed her tension. Loren's the best, he reassured her. If anyone can help us understand what the Null Collective is after, it's him. A warning klaxon interrupted their conversation. Multiple incoming vessels had just dropped out of quantum translation, too precise to be a coincidence. They found us, Arya said, her voice losing its usual calm. But something was different. The approach pattern was wrong. These ships moved with a familiarity that suggested more than just pursuit. Loren's demeanor changed. A subtle shift in posture, a nearly imperceptible tension in his movements. Kai, Arya whispered, something's not right. Before Kai could respond, Loren's hand moved with lightning speed. A quantum disruptor materialized, its energy signature matching the Null Collective's technology perfectly. I'm afraid I can't let you continue, Loren said, his voice now cold and calculated. The betrayal hit Kai like a physical blow. Years of friendship, countless shared missions, moments of trust, all dissolved in an instant. You're working for them, Kai said, not a question but a statement. Loren smiled, an expression devoid of any warmth. Working for them? No. I'm one of them. The quantum marker is just the beginning. What it contains could reshape the entire multiverse. Arya's hand moved imperceptibly, activating a concealed defensive protocol. The quantum marker began to pulse, not with light, but with a strange quantum resonance that seemed to bend the very fabric of reality around it. The Concordat knew, she said, her voice taking on a ritualistic cadence. They knew there would be a moment of convergence. The station around them began to destabilize. Quantum fluctuations created impossible geometries, corridors that twisted back on themselves, rooms that existed in multiple states simultaneously. Kai realized they were no longer dealing with a simple pursuit. This was something far more profound. The marker is a key, Loren continued, to a dimensional nexus that could give the Null Collective complete control over quantum travel. Imagine being able to manipulate entire realities with a thought. Arya's response was unexpected. She began to laugh, a sound that was both beautiful and terrifying. You understand nothing, she said. The quantum marker pulsed again. This time, the entire station seemed to fold in on itself. Reality became a malleable concept, shifting, bending, threatening to break completely. Kai found himself experiencing multiple moments simultaneously. He saw potential futures, alternate paths, impossible choices, all compressed into a single, infinitesimal moment of quantum revelation. Loren's confident smile began to fracture. Something was happening. Something neither he, nor Arya, nor Kai had anticipated. The true nature of the quantum marker was about to be revealed. And nothing would ever be the same again. Redemption and hope. Consciousness returned in fragments. Kai found himself suspended in a space that defied traditional understanding, a realm between realities, where thought and matter intertwined like gossamer threads. Arya floated nearby, her form no longer constrained by physical limitations. The quantum marker had transformed from a simple device to a living conduit of multidimensional information. What is this? Kai asked, realizing he could communicate without sound, through pure thought. Arya's response rippled through the quantum fabric. The true nature of existence. What the Null Collective never understood. The betrayal by Loren now seemed insignificant. The quantum marker was more than a weapon or a map, it was a key to understanding the fundamental connections between all possible realities. Memories flooded back. The station's quantum collapse. Loren's attempt to seize control. The marker's unexpected activation. We're not dead, Kai observed. Not exactly alive either, Arya responded. We exist in a state of quantum potential. Fragments of their pursuers, the null collective, drifted around them. Not destroyed, but fundamentally altered. Their pursuit had triggered something far beyond their comprehension. The marker began to unfold its true purpose. It wasn't a weapon. It wasn't a map. It was a bridge, a connection between countless potential realities, each vibrating with its own unique frequency of existence. Kai saw glimpses of infinite possibilities. Versions of himself. Versions of Arya. Entire civilizations that had risen and fallen in realities just a quantum breath away from their own. Why me? He asked. The question carried weight across their quantum consciousness. Arya's response was both simple and profound. Because you chose to rescue. To protect. In a universe of infinite possibilities, those choices matter more than any technological advantage. The null collective's ships began to disintegrate, not through violence, but through a fundamental restructuring of their quantum signatures. Their pursuit had been based on a fundamental misunderstanding of the marker's true nature. Slowly, reality began to reassemble itself. They found themselves back on the quantum drift. Damaged, but intact. The repair station was gone, or perhaps had never existed in the way they remembered. Loren was nowhere to be seen. What now? Kai asked, running diagnostic checks on the ship's systems. Arya's hand touched the quantum marker. It had transformed, no longer a threatening piece of technology, but something more organic. Something alive. Now, she said, we understand. The ship's communication systems crackled to life. But the messages weren't from any known galactic network. They were quantum echoes, fragments of possibility, of potential futures and alternate paths. Kai looked at Arya. The rescue that had seemed so random, so chance-driven, now revealed itself as something far more significant. The Concordat knew, he said, understanding dawning. Arya smiled. They always know. But knowing and understanding are two very different things. Outside the ship's viewport, stars shifted. Not physically, but in their potential. Quantum pathways realigned. Possibilities expanded. The quantum drift continued its journey. But everything had changed. They were no longer just a salvage operator and a refugee. They were navigators of possibility.